Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special guest from all the way in Alberta. We have Janine here with us to share basically everything about Alberta, the cost of living, the weather, what it is like up there, so that we have a well-rounded idea of what it is like living in Canada in different areas, so you can choose wisely. So before going any further in this video, I want Janine to basically introduce herself, let you guys know how she came to Canada, where she's from, and everything. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Sanjay, and thank you everyone for tuning in to this special episode about Alberta. My name is Janine. I moved here 4 years ago with my husband. I'm originally from Jamaica. I believe that we've adjusted pretty well. Since moving here, I've become a mom, and I really like my city, Calgary, and I really like my job. So we'll be talking about that during the
Thank you, Janine. And so the first thing that we want to touch on is basically the job market. I know a lot of persons think that it's easy because, especially when you're coming from like a third world to a first world country, it's like, yes, I'm going to get the job and there's a lot of jobs. I won't have to worry and I'll be making a lot of money. It might be different in Alberta. So just share with us, like, what was it like for you? And for us, it was pre-COVID because I came here, was it like a year before you? So it went for us, we came pre-COVID, but we still can share our experiences with you guys.
Yeah, so I'll share experiences about pre-COVID, my personal experience, as well as since COVID. I've spoken to some of my friends and some of the immigrant agencies here just to find out what's going on. So when my husband and I landed, we landed in the middle of winter, the end of January, and it was super cold. So we're coming from plus 28 degrees to minus 28 at the time. And for job search, I wasn't prepared in terms of clothing to job search, so that took me by surprise. Yes, I had my winter boots. Yes, I had my winter jackets, but at the time I hadn't learned about layering. So that was a challenge to job searching. We were lucky enough to have enrolled before we arrived in pre-arrival services, which were a really great tool. And prior to arriving, we decided on where we were going to live based on the proximity to a lot of these government agencies and immigrant service agencies. So we went in Calgary, where I'm based, to Immigrant Services Calgary, Calgary Immigrant Women's Association, to help me with this job search. And one of the first things I had to do was to revamp my resume. Now, mind you, I'm coming from a job where I was a manager, right? So I was on top of my game. I think I know what I'm doing. And then someone takes a look at my resume and says, well, you know what? This is not cutting it. Yeah, it was a very painful process. I wish I had started the process before I got here, because it was very discouraging, But after completing the resume revamp and I looked at what I had versus what I was required to have, I can honestly say that I was impressed by my new resume. The beauty of the revamped resume is that it shows you both on a qualitative and on a quantitative basis. What exactly are you capable of doing in the job market? So where I'm from originally, a lot of our resumes look like JDs, meaning job descriptions. It doesn't tell me what I have done. It tells you what you will be doing. And that says nothing to the employer. So let's say, for example, you are a supervisor. I supervise for XYZ company. The revamped resume will say, well, on a weekly basis, I supervise over 35 persons on 2 different shifts amounting to XYZ hours. That gives me an idea as to what your competence and your capability is in the work environment. So I really appreciated it after the process. I feel like had I gone into it not being such a not being so grouchy about it. I'd have probably embraced the process a bit more. But I
Yeah.
felt like someone was picking on me when really and truly they weren't. They were just preparing me for the job market. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very different here. I'm coming from a small island, and we're here in a space of over 40 million people, right?
Yeah.
Um, your resume is your best face forward,
Yep.
pretty much. And
Like,
for jobs that are advertised, you're going up against hundreds and thousands of applicants.
mm-hmm.
Here, you don't walk into an employer. Once I learned that, essentially for every job I applied for online, I had to tweak.
Yes.
So if it's an accounting clerk, but for example, the job posting says accounts payable clerk, I adjusted it for accounts payable
Exactly.
clerk
Yeah.
because those are keywords, and I want to ensure that I'm being pulled when it looks at the percentage of candidates who meet the criteria, and I say that loosely, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that was pre-COVID,
Yeah.
right? So post-COVID, the good thing about it is a lot of the immigrant services here in Alberta, particularly Calgary, are here to help you through the process. So for women, we have so many organizations, and for men, um, but it requires you to know what resources to look for. So
Yeah.
that's the job market in terms of arriving for it. In
Yeah.
terms of the viability of jobs here in Alberta, since post-COVID, I can only speak for post-COVID, a
Yeah.
lot of demand has centered around financial services and IT.
Okay.
Because the world has gone remote,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that it's created a lot of in-demand jobs
Mm.
that weren't so in demand before, and it's created opportunities for new jobs. So jobs like remote IT managers or remote systems accountants or remote systems auditors or social media managers, because people can't now come into your organization, you need to put your face online. So you need
Exactly.
to managing your online presence.
Mm.
So those are very much in demand jobs. You have other jobs that have popped up. People are staying home. There's
Mm.
jobs around logistics, distribution, warehousing. Those jobs have popped up quite a bit in the last 2 years. Not to say that other jobs aren't up in demand, but if you go online, you'll find them constantly there because there's a need
Yeah.
with COVID and the pandemic to facilitate people's changing needs.
Yeah.
A lot of people are shopping online. A lot of people are studying online. So online tutors. So if you're teaching back home, maybe it's an opportunity for
For
you
you.
to find out,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I need to sign up for online tutoring, right?
Because I currently do that right now. So yeah, that's definitely, I think that you don't have to go to anybody's houses anymore. You can just
Mhm.
do it online, and it's probably just an hour, 2 hours per week, and you get some extra money.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's so right, Sanjay. So
Yeah.
right.
So
Um,
somebody in like science field,
mhm.
how viable are jobs? Like, can we easily get a job? Is there a lot of manufacturing plant? No.
Work in financial services, particularly in insurance. I wouldn't be able to speak to how quickly
Mm.
you're able to get a job, but we've seen, because of the nature of my job, I've seen a lot of um, relocations from Ontario, mass relocation from Ontario to Alberta. A lot of it has to do with there's been a shift in the industry. Traditionally, Alberta has been oil and gas. We still
Yeah.
are. Alberta will probably always be oil and gas in some shape or form,
Yeah.
but we've seen a lot of changes in the economic environment with regards to the in-demand jobs. So we have a lot of tech, a lot of IT, a lot of AI coming over to
Mm-hmm.
boost the economy. And I see a lot of professionals coming from Ontario for
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to one of my clients, the idea was Ontario is expensive,
Yeah.
expensive in taxes, expensive in housing, and my job has now gone remote. I can work anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Alberta, on the other hand, relative to Ontario, maybe not necessarily the rest of the country,
Mm-hmm.
is reasonably affordable for housing. We have lower taxes. And if you can do your work from home and you're getting the same salary, then why not?
Yeah.
You
So
get
tell
more
us,
value for your money.
Yeah, so
So
it's about the taxes, like, because here in Ontario, like if you go to the groceries, you're paying 13% extra.
mhm,
What is it
yeah,
like for you
we
guys?
we pay 5% full stop. 5% full stop.
Oh my God.
So,
So
so
I
it's
think
definitely less
sales,
than half the taxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. That's like ridiculous. So
Mm-hmm,
okay. So now that the tax is like 5%, typically
mm-hmm.
what's grocery like? Like let's say, I guess meat and whatever, like I'm just trying to understand if they balance it back out or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's compare 5 foods. You start, and I'll give you, for example, I shop at Walmart.
Yes.
I shop at Superstore. I'm not sure if those are,
Yes, we
you have
have to start
Superstore.
well.
And
Yeah.
I shop at Costco.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so at Costco, I buy bulk meat.
Okay, you buy meat. So
Yeah,
I used to buy like the chicken from Costco, which I think it's like three in a bag
yes,
for
yes.
$25.
It's pretty much the same. Ours is, well, the last time I visited Costco, it was 27 on average. And
20,
then you put the
well,
5%.
yeah. And then 5% tax. So which means they okay, so that's one.
Mm-hmm.
For Walmart, what specifically can I pick on at Walmart? I don't even know because Walmart is so everything. Uh,
Walmart, let's talk about bread and
okay,
milk.
yeah, yeah.
So milk here is $5.
Okay, just about the same. It's about 4.95 for like the 2% ones, which is just
Yeah,
about the same, 4.98, and you still pay your 5%.
yeah, just your 5% on that, right?
And
So
then
I guess
like
the
$3.
biggest difference is maybe just the taxes, because we look like we're evening out. Bread, like three Dempster's bread is $6.99 in Costco, the 3 bag.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, okay. So we basically the same, but
Mm-hmm.
the taxes basically we still spending
Yeah.
like
So
double.
your cost of living really is the differentiator is really in your taxes. You're paying
Oh,
you're paying what? 8% more?
more. Yeah, because I think you guys don't have sales tax or something I was reading.
We don't
Um,
have the harmonized tax.
okay, okay, that one. Yeah, okay. So that okay. All right. So let's switch gear a little bit into housing. So let's start
Mhm.
with rent. So typically for us here in Ontario, let me just say Toronto, GTA, because GTA is
Yes, let's talk about the cities because that's where I am.
yes,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous in the GTA. So, all right, I don't know if they do basement rental in Alberta as well, but they do basement rentals here. So typically, like in the city for a basement, I want to say probably 1 bedroom, you have your kitchen and whatever, and you
Mhm.
get all inclusive. I would say you at baseline, it's probably 1,400, 1,500. It
$1,500 for a basement?
yes, at its minimum, it's like I was talking to a friend and she said she's seeing a few for like 1350, but that's the minimum. And those ones that are like 1350, they don't even give you anything sometimes, like no hydro, no internet, you have to pay for it. So that's basement.
Mhm.
Apartment, like a 1 bedroom apartment, let's say for example, probably in Scarborough, it would probably be I would say like 1675 at its lowest,
Mhm.
at its very lowest. So you can be paying up to $1,800 for an apartment, which includes nothing here. Like a condominium, especially if you're in Vaughan, Richmond Hill, downtown Toronto, it's like
Mhm.
1950 and you get nothing included, especially if you're in the newer buildings. For me, I live in one of the older condominiums and I get
Mhm.
everything included. So I don't pay hydro, I don't pay internet, I don't pay phone bill, I don't pay for parking. I get all of that included, but it's still a whole chunk I pay.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. That's very expensive. Um, I can speak about Calgary, and I can speak about downtown Calgary to the other communities on the periphery of the downtown, like the core zone. And the rental, even for brand new condominiums, a basement suite is not going to cost you more than, in my what I've seen, maybe someone else has seen different, but in my experience, it's like $1,000, $900.
Yeah.
Um, or even like sometimes I've seen as low as $800. And if you're in an apartment building, it's required for them to give you heat and water. What you pay for is electricity, or if you want a cable and your internet, that's definitely on you. And that's if you're not in someone's basement suite in their house. It gets different when you're not in like an apartment building. So for a 1 bedroom, typically you'll see anywhere from like 1,100 to 1,300. Yeah. And the higher you go in an apartment building, so let's say you live in a high rise, the 1 bedroom on second floor is going to be way cheaper than the 1 bedroom on the penthouse suite.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking at average, you're on the third, fourth, fifth floor.
Yes.
These are the price ranges we're talking about. A 2 bedroom can hit you anywhere between 14 to 1,700. 1,700 at the higher end with newer builds, and they're fully loaded. They're nice, right? These buildings, my last apartment, we had a gym. It included free. There were 3 elevators in there. We had a rec room. You had the whole 9 yards. Essentially, you felt like you were living in a glorified hotel.
Right. Yeah.
And at the top end of our budget, we're not paying $2,000.
That's crazy.
Just wait.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because here in Ontario, if you're living in like a condominium, you get everything. Bear in mind, like you get a swimming pool, you get a gym, you have a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's great. But for the newer condos, it's really, really small. I don't know if that's the same in Alberta.
That is the case. That is the case. So in older buildings, the square footage, let's say, for example, a 2 bedroom in an older unit, 20, 25-year-old condo building, you'll get 900 to 800, 900 to 1,000 square feet, for example. In the newer buildings with a 2 bedroom, it's like 650, 700 square feet. Like it's really tiny. It's nice. Don't get me wrong.
It's very nice.
But the storage and just the leg room and livable space is just way less.
Yeah, I find that.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And what is it like for like car insurance?
Okay, so that's my specialty. So I work in general insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do general insurance. I'm a licensed broker here in Alberta. So my job is everything that is non-health insurance and non-life insurance. So if that's the insurance you're looking for, I would be the person you call. Now, unlike some other provinces that have government insurance, Ontario and Alberta have markets that facilitate brokering. So we shop around on your behalf. We're able to negotiate on your behalf with the insurance companies to get you the best rates and coverage. Now, a lot of newcomers aren't able to save money because they don't know, right? So prior to migrating to Canada, I did a lot of research about insurance in Alberta. I was on the blogs. I went in some of the new immigrant forums to find out like what it was like. How much would it cost me? And one of the biggest things that will save you money here, guys, is if you're able to bring documentation to support that you were a licensed driver back home and you were listed as a policyholder. Yes, when you get here, you'll have to do the regular process of getting your license exchanged, challenging the knowledge test and doing the road exam to get your driver's license. But okay, now you have your driver's license. You live 30 minutes away from your job, but public transit is going to take you an hour and a half every day, one way, just to get to work. It may be a better idea to buy a car. So you're shopping around for a car And you call your insurance broker and you're paying $3,600, 4,000, and you're like, this is madness. When really and truly, had you had your claims experience letter from your insurance company back home, or you had your driver's abstract from the licensing or the traffic authority body in Jamaica, it's the traffic authority. That document costs $3,500 Jamaica, which is like $35
or
in
less.
Canada.
That's our rate is like 120 now, so it's probably like.
And the typical claims experience or insurance proof letter in Jamaica costs maybe $2,500, $3,000, which is like less than $25.
Yeah.
So essentially, you'd be paying $5,000 or less than $50 Canadian to be saving over $1,500, which is what happened with me.
Yeah.
So because I knew this, I got all my documentation from the get-go.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some insurance companies that won't honor it. There are some insurance companies that will cap your history, and there are some insurance companies that will give you the maximum history. So the insurance,
sorry.
yeah,
go ahead.
The insurance company my husband and I ended up with, we got the full 5 years of insurance history. We saved over $18,000, $1,800 in insurance premium year on year for the last 4 years. We've been saving that amount of money. So it's a big deal. A lot of it has to do with access to information and knowing what to do before you get here. Right?
Yeah, not upon getting here and then you're scrambling. So
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to do it while you get here because the licensing body back home want you to either be there in person or you need to provide an authorized letter signed by a JP or a commission of oaths giving permission. They won't release the information just like that.
Yeah. So with that being said, like for example, like a newcomer, for example, let's say I don't have my documents. What can I expect? Like $600 per month?
In terms of what okay, so you're a newcomer. Like you're a newcomer to Canada, and let's say you buy an older vehicle.
Yeah.
And you have no prior experience in Canada, you didn't bring your documentation, you'll be spending almost $3,000 in Alberta, in Calgary, and Edmonton. If you're outside of the city, it's rated different. You pay less because you're not in city conditions. So you'll probably pay $200-300 less. But if you bring your documentation, if you have over 5-6 years history, you're paying 50% less. Essentially.
Makes sense.
If you have it, so that's what it looks like. And I think it's pretty much the same with Ontario too.
Yeah, that makes sense. For here, I want to say if you're here and you don't have any plan or any history, anything, people will give you quotes from different insurance companies for like up to $600 per month. Per month, which is over $6,000 for the year. That's the baseline over here.
Well, for that's if you're looking for, so the $3,000 I quoted is for basic insurance, meaning liability coverage, car, if you're in an accident, collision and comprehensive not covered. But if you're looking for full coverage, depending on the vehicle, it can be even $7,000 or more.
Okay, so I guess with insurance, we're kind of matching up, like it's almost the same, but it's dependent on your situation, essentially, right? All right.
As far as I'm aware, Alberta and Ontario have the highest insurance rates in Canada.
Okay, good point. Okay, that's what I wanted to check to know. All right, okay, fair enough. And here in Ontario, especially in the GTA, our bus systems are fast, 5 minutes tops, the TTC is there. Is it the same in Calgary?
Calgary, we have an app for the public transit system. When I used to take public transit, it was pretty reliable. If anything, sometimes it would get there before. So sometimes a couple of seconds, 30 seconds or a minute before, but it's very reliable.
Okay. What's the average cost back then to take the bus?
I can speak about monthly passes.
Okay, monthly.
So a monthly pass for an adult is $100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think back then here in Toronto, it was like 156. I haven't checked it in a while. But that was back then. That was when I just came, 2017. So that's really high. So
Yeah.
our bus system is higher.
But in Calgary, it's subsidized based on your income as well, right? Which is a pretty fair system for people who can't afford it. So
Oh,
students
okay.
able to if you're able to prove that you're a student
Yeah.
in Calgary, you get a subsidized rate. So my friend here, she paid $20 a month for a monthly bus pass. Yeah, it meets you where you are. It meets you where you are.
We
And
get
then for
cheaper, but not so cheap, like probably $30 cheaper.
oh,
Oh,
well,
wow.
you guys are starting at $150. Where we're starting at $100 for adults, so I kind of see that. And then for persons who fall within the low income tax bracket, that's based on the taxes you filed the year before. We have people who are paying $5, $10. You just can't afford it. But your kids need to go to school. You need to get to work, and your taxes show that you can't afford it. So it's subsidized. However, when you bump up or in terms of your income or your financial situation changes,
Mm-hmm.
your access to some of these subsidized programs also change, which is fair. So I like that about the city. It's very conscientious about people and
That's actually quite impressive. That's actually really good, actually, because it's not the same here. There's no subsidized bus fare. Like you pay whatever. Like you have to pay whatever it is. So that's a really good tip. So right now, guys, Toronto is zero, especially against Calgary is one. So that's even zero. We're zero, and Calgary is like probably five at this point in time. If you're thinking about coming, that's horrible.
let's wait until we get further down into the different topics, and we'll see where Toronto is beating Calgary
All
for
right.
sure.
What about let's switch a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Cost of living and what is the community life like? Like when you're working and we're people of color. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I came to Canada, I thought like, okay, I would be up to moving to somewhere else outside of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, I've never experienced anybody, being racist or treating me any way different because of the color of my skin or because of where I'm from. I've never experienced it before. And personally, I'm like, I don't think I can deal with it because
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what it is like outside of where I'm at right now. So, what has
Mm-hmm.
been your experience, like general life in Alberta? How would you describe it?
I can only speak about the places I've been to. So I've been to the big cities primarily,
Mhm.
and you'll find that the diversity in big cities is pretty prominent. So you'll find a lot of communities with people of color, not
Okay.
just people
Okay.
of our descent, but just generally people of color. You'll find that the clusters in big cities are bigger, and so it's more diverse, more
Okay.
accepting. Um, and I've been to BC, and you see diverse communities with
Okay.
people of color in big cities. It's a little different when you move outside of the big cities and smaller towns, rural areas. I can't speak to those areas. Since I've been here in Calgary, my experiences have been primarily more positive than negative. I have encountered instances of racism, some subtle, some latent, some levels of microaggression, and some just outright you can't deny that it's being racist.
Yeah.
And I think because I was prepared in a lot of cases for these encounters, I was able to respond in a way that I felt comfortable with and was in my boundaries. You understand? Um, but I won't say that you'll never encounter it. You will, or you
Mm.
may not encounter it as often as you think you would. Now, what and or they don't, but for the most part, they are receptive. My friends have been receptive. Colleagues who I have relationships with outside of work have been receptive. My organization is pretty receptive. I can't say that for other companies or other person's experience, but that's been mine. Another thing that I've experienced here as an immigrant are things like pronunciation or word choice, for example. Um, and you'll find that you may take it as racism
Yeah.
when really and truly someone just doesn't know what a bonnet is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So they make a particular group of people may call the hood of the car the hood, and some people may call it a bonnet, and they may give you the side eye like, what are you talking about? Not being racist, it's just that the word choice is so different.
Yeah.
Enunciation and pronunciation is different. Here, people will say address when we will say address.
Yes.
We will spell program with two M's.
Yes.
They won't. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's not necessarily a slight at your color. It's like, okay, are you spelling the word wrong?
Right. So I had like an experience similar to that where I was at work and I was basically telling my coworker, record this number, it's 90. And she was like, 90? And I said, excuse me? And she said 90. And I'm like, no, I said 90. That's what I said. And she's like, oh, 90. So I think it's an habit because of their accent. And sometimes I think sometimes it's predisposition as well. And when I say predisposition, sometimes they expect you to speak a certain way. While being here, you get so indulged in the culture that you don't realize, but it's always good to like, before you come here, like, you know what, I need to know this. I need to prepare myself mentally to know that if I'm gonna get assistance with certain things, this is how I need to talk.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's a Canada-wide thing. It's fairly similar, like Canada-wide. Was there yeah. Oh, the weather.
Yeah. So we spend half of the year in winter. So there are two seasons in Alberta that I've experienced. You have summer and you have winter. You have maybe 2-3 weeks of spring and 2 weeks of fall, and then you're smack dab in cold or you're smack dab in heat.
And then
So
it is minus 35, you said, right?
yeah. So winters can go as low as minus 35, sometimes minus 40, depending on where you are. In Calgary, we've hit minus 35. Last week was minus 30. And then unique to Calgary, we experienced something called Chinooks. It's a weather phenomenon. So I love it here for that reason. You'll have 2 weeks of nothing but snow, just snow dumping, snow, it's cold. And then when the Chinook weather system passed by, you'll have like 5, 6, a solid week of warm weather.
Just
So,
random.
no, it's usually, you can pretty much predict it. You have a Chinook at least once a month here for winter, which is great. Edmonton does not have that. Edmonton is an icebox from October all the way until March. Nothing melts. There's no Chinook, so it's just piles and piles and piles of snow mountains. Right now, last week we had so much snow with the Chinook. Right now we're 10 degrees.
Melting.
It's melted. So it looks like you're like, okay, I thought you guys had a snowstorm last week. No, it's melted. And that's one of the things as a Caribbean woman I can appreciate.
Yeah. For us here, I would say it's fairly unpredictable, but once it's winter, it's winter. Once it's winter until the past couple of years haven't been bad. So I would say we go November. This year has been perfect. I'm not complete, not this year, last year. Was perfect because normally November we are cold. October we are getting there. But November, December we are freezing. January, February. But for last year, 2021, November, December was like, okay, we're having fall. And then in January, we just went down from there.
Yeah, that it was the same here. It was pretty odd because we had no snow in November.
Yeah.
It didn't start snowing until December.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Was the same. So I guess see, Calgary is another one up on Ontario, well, Toronto specifically, because we don't have that here where you get like, oh, let's go to 15. No. People would go crazy in the city if that was the case. So
in 15 degrees or minus 15?
15, like 15, everybody outside, no clothes. Yeah. Great.
Here, people are in. I've been here and it's 0 degrees, but because you're coming from minus 20, people are outside in their short shorts.
Yes.
At 0 degrees.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's
so 0 feels. I love 0 degrees in the winter.
Yeah.
It feels warm to me.
No, it is
compared to minus 20 degrees.
I'm okay with 0. I'm okay with -5. I'm perfect with -5. Good to go. -5. Okay, let's go. But otherwise, it's a no-no.
It's a no-no. Okay.
I think we've covered everything, like quite a lot of stuff. So I guess we can close off this session with tips. So if there is like an international student or somebody landing, what tips would you give them if they choose to land in Alberta?
Well, not just Alberta, but if you're moving to anywhere new, do your research.
Yeah.
The internet is such a beautiful space. You have so much information. Social media is a great way to actually experience visually where you're going.
YouTube channel.
YouTube. Yes. You check out Sanjay's YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, Google, internet, immigrant services, websites. And if you're looking for job search, you can look in your industry. So a lot of companies know with Google, you can click on their website and you can see pictures of what it looks like.
Exactly. You can see even the house, like the apartment that you are going to. You can see everything.
Go on Google Maps and do street view and walk the street and see what it looks like. So I'd encourage you to get as much information as you can, just to inform yourself about where you're going, what the culture is like, making smart decisions about your housing based on proximity to certain essential services. That is important. I think one of the best things you can do when you're moving to a new country is keep an open mind. This is probably one of the only opportunities most people get to literally reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You can step into the new country and you go to school, you change your career, you start from fresh, and it's an opportunity to grow, but you can only do that if you have informed yourself and you have the right attitude. Do that. Right. So I don't regret coming to Canada. I enjoy it here. My daughter enjoys it here. This is what she knows. This is her normal, right? And I'm happy I'm in a space that is very friendly for families. Friendly spaces, friendly parks, friendly schools. I like it here. So awesome. Sanjay, come over.
Yes, let's think about that, because we are at 0 right now, and